Japan will soon mark its 50th anniversary of the 1964 Olympic Games in Tokyo. The hosting of the Games brought prestige and national pride, as well as a benchmark of economic development following the Second World War. This year's grand event, however, is marred with controversies. Conservation groups accused the Olympic Committee of causing forest destruction in the province of Sarawak, Malaysia, where the timber used to construct Olympic venues are sourced out by a giant logging company, Shin Yang. Last month, about 47 civil society organizations asked the International Olympic Committee (IOC) in Tokyo 2020 Olympic authorities to stop exploiting tropical forests and violating human rights in the construction and implementation of the Games. The groups are calling for full transparency and to end the use of rainforest wood to construct Olympic facilities, including the new National Olympic Stadium. But the appeal does not stop the construction of venues. Amid the Games' golden anniversary, Malaysia's indigenous leader appealed to the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Matu Tugang, head of the Indigenous Penan community of Long Jaik from Sarawak, asked the Japanese Prime Minister to help stop Japan's use of controversial wood from Shin Yang. The Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee, during a ceremony on the 10th of October to celebrate the 50th year since the opening ceremony of the Tokyo 1964 Games. NGOs gathered evidence at the construction site in April which confirmed the use of plywood supplied by Shin Yang. The company has been allegedly logging in the area of Long Jaik for almost 2 decades and has previously been implicated in illegal logging, rainforest destruction, and human rights abuses. The community of Long Jaik has been fighting with blockades to protect their forests against Shin Yang's logging and conversion to oil palm plantations. The community has also an ongoing lawsuit against Shin Yang for violating their customary rights. In a last attempt to save their remaining forests, the headman is turning to Shin Yang's buyers in Japan and asking the Japanese Prime Minister to intervene. See also: Japan's bid to go smoke-free for 2020 Olympics faces strong resistance. In the letter, Headman Tugang said Shin Yang has destructive logging practices, and the company disregards communities' right to free, prior and informed consent. Tugang accused Shin Yang to have been logging aggressively in their village. When their tractors extract a log, they just bulldoze everything around. Shin Yang has been logging our ancestral forests without our permission or consent. They have never asked us for our opinion or needs, Tugang said. Olympic Committee non-adherence to environmental practices. The Japanese Olympic Committee (JOC) promised to adopt environmentally sound practices and to contribute to global environmental protection through continual efforts to improve its environmental management system. In its action agenda, it aimed to support green products when making purchases, to obey environmental laws and guidelines, and to promote internal environmental educational initiatives to ensure that all JOC staff fully understand the basic principles for sustainable sourcing are shown, giving utmost importance on how products and services are supplied, the origins of products and services and the resources from which they are made, compliance with the sourcing code throughout the supply chains, and the effective use of resources. Olympic Committee criticized, however, the International Olympic Committee and Tokyo Olympic authorities have been the subject of relentless criticism from an international coalition of civil society organizations critical of Tokyo 2020's poor timber sourcing standards and a lack of transparency in their timber supply chain. Despite repeated demands to disclose the origin of the timber in use for the Olympics and to end the use of Shin Yang wood, despite repeated demands to disclose the origin of the timber in use for the Olympics and to end the use of Shin Yang wood and other high-risk timber, authorities have failed to respond to NGO concerns. NGOs civic action against Tokyo for lack of transparency. Last month, about 47 civil society organizations have asked the International Olympic Committee (IOC) in Tokyo 2020 Olympic authorities to stop exploit tropical forests. At the IOC Executive Board meeting in Lima, Peru, the group sent a letter reiterating grave and mounting concerns about the legitimacy and accountability of IOC's sustainability commitments and the reputation and credibility of the Olympic Games. Hannah Heineken of Rainforest Action Network, along with other NGOs, said the Tokyo Olympic authorities are not transparent about the use of massive volumes of tropical wood to construct the new National Olympic Stadium. See also: Japan 2020 Olympics brings baseball event to recovering Fukushima. They claim that the IOC's failure to address the obvious risk of unsustainability is a clear breach of its own commitment to include sustainability in all aspects of the Olympic Games. In particular, they point to a major loophole in the Tokyo 2020 procurement policy that allows wood used for concrete formwork to be exempted from the policy's environmental, labor and human rights requirements, despite the majority of this type of wood in Japan coming from the rainforests of Malaysia and Indonesia, where problems of illegal logging, rainforest destruction, and land rights violations persist. Tokyo Olympics 2020 and economic powerhouse Japanese torchbearers with the 1964 Olympic flame relay team run through the rain on their way to the Olympic Stadium in October 1964 in Tokyo, Japan. Pick AP. The Tokyo Summer Olympics in 1964 gave Japan a chance to present itself to the world as a friendly, tech leader redeeming itself from the transgressions of war. Japan will host the prestigious event for the fourth time in 2020, another opportunity for Tokyo to showcase the innovation of new technologies. Toshiro Muto, chief executive of Tokyo's Organizing Committee, said plans are underway to show off high-tech features like hydrogen-powered vehicles for athlete transportation and smartphone tools to aid tourists. We have the potential to make this Olympic Games wonderful that the people of the world are going to admire. The Japanese government will showcase hydrogen fuel cell technology to the world in 2020. Image credit AP photo Eugene Hashiko, Japan Sport Council via AP. Many redevelopment projects are underway in central Tokyo and elsewhere, as the capital prepares to host the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. However, the Games will not go without mention of the environmental impacts. In the construction of venues and other facilities, there is a shortage of wood. Hard tropical plywood is essential to making concrete formwork. Even though the quality of formwork plywood made from Japan-grown trees is improving, it is not enough to fully compensate for reduced shipments from Malaysia. Follow @TheGreenJournal on Twitter.